Yeah, you were quite full on, quite harsh with me, but it was like being doused in cold water. It kind of woke me up. And
we're talking about our initial consultation. So this client, I'm just giving just context. This client suffered from bulimia for how long?
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. The issues began over 40 years ago, right? And you've been desperately trying to get help and was also in a dark, dark space of suicide, right? Even though you may not have wanted to commit suicide, you were praying to God he would kill you.
Yes.
That's suicidal. Yeah. So, you described it earlier as, what did you say? It was so simple. I know you came to me in a very, very dark place, desperate, and you probably were thinking it's not going to work for me, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it's worth a try, you know?
Exactly.
So our first session, I actually have it recorded and posted, but I was very specific in moments. I was asking you to do some certain things like visualize and give me an honest answer. And I could tell you were not giving me the honest answer. You were giving me the story.
Yeah.
Right?
I was from a position of just being saturated in self-pity and not being able to see beyond that. And that was the story. It's like, it is a form of arrogance. Like, it's worse for me than for anybody else. It's impossible for me. I'm different. I'm special. I've been ill for all these decades. And yes.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
I am a special human being, and I shouldn't have to have such a catastrophic environment. My parents were horrible. My life has been horrible. I have this potential in the world that is so amazing and brilliant and perfect, and I'm going to be superior, and I'm going to prove this, and I'm going to save the world, and I'm going to do all these things. But yet any little thing that got in your way felt probably horrible. Poor me. My life sucks, right? Yeah. Okay. So you had kind of given me that story. I was like, do you think that, you deserve this type of being called disgusting? You're horrible. And you were like, yes, I do. I deserve it. And I was like, shut up. Right. And it was very quick and very abrupt. Like, that's a lie. I'm not going to hear it. Rewind, say it again. And those of you who are clients of mine have heard that. Right. So, and I remember too that when I do that with someone, I fully am aware that I could be, that they might take it as a victim. Yes. Robin's so mean. She is just really rough on me, and she doesn't understand how terrible my life has been.
Yeah, it's a risk.
It is a risk, but what do I have to lose, right? I understand recovery from my own recovery, and I've helped a bunch of people recover similarly to how you've recovered. And isn't that amazing to hear that? Because it feels like a miracle. But to me, it isn't a miracle. There's science involved in this. There truly is science here in terms of brain neurochemistry and belief systems, and it's explainable. It's just hard to do it without the science existing yet, but it will. Someday. So, because it is possible. Now you're on the other side of possibility. Right? Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You know this as a scientist yourself, as a doctorate at PhD. You understand the significance of what you just experienced.
I do.
How are we going to get this written and published? How are we going to do it? There's a lot of science still that needs to be discovered. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, other than it's miraculous. I don't know how else to explain it for me. But anyways, so we haven't talked for a couple of weeks. So it's been almost 2 months since our first consultation. A month and a half to 2 months. And it's and clearer and clearer, you're probably never again going to ever go back there. It would almost be like you'd have to become unaware or get some type of brain trauma. Right?
Yes. Brain damage, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm like, okay, I don't know how I could, because it would take some type of brain damage to make you believe that being thinner could make you happy. When you fully well can tell, it cannot do that. It's impossible. The body is incapable of creating happiness. Although we could say the brain is, but that's relative to our conscious level, right? Our beliefs, our perceptions of the environment.
The thing is, Robin, I was keeping a journal and, like positive affirmation kind of thinking. I was trying to indoctrinate myself.
Yeah, it doesn't work. That's coming from the outside.
Yeah.
You have to create it.
Being thin isn't the fantasy I think it is, and it's not going to solve all my problems, and I won't really be happy. But I just could not change that belief system. It was so deeply embedded. It's taken a huge cognitive shift to pluck me out of that worldview.
Yeah, I have some clients right now who are really struggling. We've had many sessions or multiple sessions, and they just can't give up the martyr position. They feel that if they have to stay as fat as they are, that their life is terrible. They feel like their life is truly terrible. Is there anything you would say to them right now, the clients that I'm working with who are sad and feeling like I'm not going to be able to fit my clothes. It's just horrible. I'm never going to be happy. My life is always going to be shitty if I have to be fat. What do you have to say?
There's something inside every single human being that is worth so much more than that and transcends that. And you took me to a place and showed me that behind all the story and poor me and of course I'm like this because anybody would be like this if they had my life. All of that. You showed me something behind that that's really authentic, and I think you took that really the core of life, and that is just, it doesn't need external propping up or shoring up. It's just vital in its own right.
Yeah, it's really about the existing here, right, on this planet, because we could say we're experiencing this planet in the universe, within the universes, and actually accepting the way it is instead of creating a fantasy about what it should be. It's and just participating and actually becoming part of the experience. And to realize that the body's role and purpose is truly to give you this experience. And it has your entire life. You just decided that it had to look a certain way for you to appreciate that experience. And really, it had to look a certain way or be a certain way for you to feel acceptable here for this experience. But don't you agree? You're here. You were born here. You're going to have this experience. You don't need someone's permission to be here. Yes, Potato. He's guarding. He's such a guard dog. Potato! He's such a cute dog. He's such a funny dog. Anyways, so what were we talking about before I started to record? And I was like, hold on, I want to get this on tape.
I was saying it's like you just doused me in cold water, like gave me a shock.
Got it. That was with the direct, like, no, that's not true. You're lying to yourself. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's not how you actually felt. I actually said that to you.
That's right, yeah.
And it was like, ooh. And I said, I want you to do it again, but this time, tell the goddamn truth. The first feeling you have, and you did it, right? And
It
you...
took a few rounds though. It wasn't the second time. It took a few attempts.
Yeah, for you to actually allow yourself, it's really allowing yourself what I would call the humility, right?
Yeah.
It's the humility.
Amazing.
That's what it was. And that's the only word I can come to describe. It's the surrendering, right? If you go to any 12-step program, which I know you have, right?
Yeah.
I would be so delighted to hear your opinion now about the 12-step program.
The biggest flaw with it as applied to food, and I know it started off as being
Yes.
for alcoholism, but it's treating food as an addiction.
I would agree. Take that aside. Look at the 12 steps, regardless of the actual external, the obvious compensation, right? Because you could say alcohol, narcotics, porn, food, weight loss, dieting, all of that is just symptoms, right? But if you look at how you came out of this, you could probably look at some of those steps and go, I did that. Oh my God,
yes,
all of that
yes.
stuff is actually, they've put it to words, but maybe they didn't put it to give it a context. So it's been kind of maybe taken out of context and changed. But if you look at the surrendering, the
Yes.
humility, the acceptance, you failed. Like just having to say, I failed.
And that awakening is exactly what I experienced when you woke me up. And that's what they talk about in the 12 steps, having had an awakening as a result of these steps. And that's what I feel, that I had this cognitive shift as being taken out of a position that I was so deeply embedded in, I couldn't see beyond, and putting me in an entirely different point of view, an entirely different perspective. So I just saw things in a completely new light, just completely new.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. No, I know you're right. I can't go back. I'd have to have some sort of brain injury.
Yep, that's how it worked for me, and it makes me think about when I was told that I would suffer with this for the rest of my life. And it just, what it does is it makes me aware of how far off the help is. They're here to help. They don't know, but they're just saying things out of their own lack of ability to actually understand. Well, I'm going to reword that because it isn't a lack of ability. It's a lack of understanding. They could understand. It's kind of difficult unless you've been in it, right?
Yes, very.
Right, because that's how I call bullshit on you. I'm like, oh, I know what she's doing because I did it. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to say, oh, I know what you're doing and you're not going to recover, right?
You're absolutely right, though, about the 12-step program. The problem isn't in the steps. It's in the context. It's treating it as an addiction.
Correct.
And trying.
The disease model has to go. That's what has to get out. You're not diseased.
And treating all the things that you have to avoid and restrict and trigger foods and...
Yeah, as if they're the problem.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No, you didn't have a nutritional problem.
Yeah.
Do you see now? It's like, no, this isn't a matter of I don't have the right vitamins and minerals.
The first week, can you remember I had those waves of anxiety?
Yeah.
And then you took me back through some of it again about just put yourself in that morbidly obese body and just be there again and just feel that essence of self that isn't affected by it.
Mm-mm.
And I haven't had it since.
Mm-mm.
I haven't had any anxiety about my belly or my body or my shape. I felt so comfortable. Comfort, the ease and comfort. I can't believe it. I've never felt at ease and comfortable.
No, or gratitude. Think about...
tremendously grasping. Yeah.
I know. It's the most amazing feeling. It is like being high as a kite on some type of narcotic, but there's no narcotic. It's actually just your own feelings of love and just total and complete love for...
And how different to that self-pity in that story and that poor man, the dreadful life. And
you'll never do that again. And that's the beautiful lesson, at least it was for me, is that I will never be a victim again. I will ever, even if someone comes up to me and says, I'm going to cut your legs off, I'd be like, okay, you can have them, because that's my power, is in not being a victim. As soon as I become a victim, I am now held hostage or captive to who's victimizing me.
And I knew that was a problem, but all the treatment that I received, counselling, these online programs for bulimia and psychotherapy for bulimia and group therapy for bulimia, they all... I lost my thread.
It's called enabling. They're enabling. That what they're doing is they're not questioning your stories. They're like, oh, that must have been so terrible. So they're actually feeding you part of the... They don't know that.
You sink deeper and deeper into it. You just get stuck in quicksand.
Yeah, and they don't realize that they're enabling it at all, because they are absolutely not questioning your story. Partly because I do believe people who are in that environment, either they have their own shitty ass story that they're telling themselves and they believe it. But the other thing is, if they don't have that, they are really feeling their own inadequacy to experience what you've experienced, right? So they're afraid to hear what you've experienced, in that it might be hard for them to understand it and not be able to help you. So did that make sense what I just said? There's kind of I said two things with one sentence. One thing is it is outside of their own sense of adaptability. They couldn't adapt to that experience either. Therefore, they're not going to be able to help you. The other thing is they are enabling themselves with their own pity party / narcissistic, my life is so bad, I have it worse than you. Like, they don't know how to stop it either. They don't know how to stop their victim's positionality. They have their own. So when you're working with someone like that, which is almost, I don't know how many people, I mean, I couldn't sit here and tell you how many therapists or, PhDs and the brain and whatever, who actually have learned to do that, to not take victim positionality, even if they get robbed, even if you get molested, or even if you get raped, gang raped, these experiences, like, how can you recover from them? Well, it takes forgiveness, and it takes humility, and it takes truly the willingness to accept and adapt to it as if you can handle it. That is not easy. It takes a lot of humility to be able to say, I can handle that. If it happens again, I wouldn't have the same PTSD.
I think as therapists as well, it gives them something to do. So we know what to do. We'll examine your past. We'll look at where the trauma started. We'll look at what's gone wrong in your life. We'll look at the root cause of this problem. So it gives them something to cling on to.
And for some people, people need to hash that out. We could say that approach would really work well maybe in marriage counseling, or, like where there's issues. But ultimately, when it comes to this type of recovery, did we even talk about your history in any way?
I've never told you a thing about nothing.
I know it doesn't matter to me. And I already know, if you can do what we went through, the rest can be looked at later from a completely different point of view, right? You can go back into your childhood now and go, wow, okay, no wonder. I can see why, because I felt this way with that happening, but a child can't think any different. So it's understandable. Like, you can look back with hindsight now, instead of looking at it with the same childish point of view.
Yeah.
Anyways, So
imagine that I'd want to do that though, because I've spent so many years delving around in the past
I
looking.
know it doesn't matter. It's like it's gone. You're capable. If anything from your past occurred again, could you deal with it? Could you actually manage it to where it doesn't affect you today?
I'm really in a completely different position to where I was on the day that I first spoke to you. Completely different footing.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. You're laughing because you're like, it's true, Robin. You did some type of voodoo.
Yeah, focus. Amazing.
Yeah, it's very direct.
I was so sick, Robin.
I know.
was so sick.
Well, now you really know how sick you were. I look back and it was so sad. Oh, it's so sad for me. Like when I look at my own, oh my God, just absolutely horrible. No human being deserves to be in that place. No one.
But not today. Not today.
Yeah, never again. Are you kidding me? I would rather surrender. I could totally die right now and be happy. Surrender my life. I'm okay with that. Right? Take what you want.
It truly was in Dante's third circle of the Inferno with the three-headed voracious worm who wouldn't stop eating. And now I've got food in my cupboard and I've got a little dish on the side full of candies and I don't even want them. I might have one.
Well, because you can have them. If I said to you, okay, we're taking all that away now, you'd be like, what?
It's weird.
Even then, don't you agree? Even if you had to surrender your candy where you're at today, you could give them away. I don't need it. It's a totally different place, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Because you wouldn't become a victim.
Exactly, yeah.
Ever. You really pick and choose that emotion. Like, that's a pretty serious emotion that causes quite a bit of poison in the brain. Why would you choose that if you don't have to?
I have never in my whole adult life been able to have food in the house and not go crazy. And my fridge is full, and my biscuit tin is full, and I've got a dish of candies in, and my freezer's full.
Okay, how are you doing that? Someone is listening to this video going, how does she do that? What did you do? I mean, I could answer this very quickly. It's very simple. What did you do that gives you this freedom?
Well, I think one of the first things you did was that physiological security around starvation and deprivation. Took that away, that first level of need that we have.
Yeah, but the only way to get that is through what simple thing? How do you stop threatening your food?
I let go, just completely let go
of thinnerness. Yeah, so the simple answer is she has this freedom because she accepted that she'd rather be fat. And we're talking really fat.
Yeah.
You'd rather live so that you can have your permanent freedom from having to worry about it, feel bad about it. That's the thing too. It wasn't just I accept being overweight or obese. It's that the detriment of that physically is less than the detriment of the psychological and physical detriment of trying to fix it or avoid that, trying to prevent it. It's more damaging to try to prevent it than to just live naturally and allow it to happen, right? Do you see that now? It'll get clearer and clearer to you as well, that the only way that you're going to maintain this freedom is if you give yourself, as a human being, compassion and grace, being real with yourself, being real with others, being truthful and authentic, letting them reject you quicker, sooner than later, not because you're trying to get rejection, but because you're just being yourself, right? And The other thing is it's in terms of the food issue, you're free as long as you're willing to be fat and don't care about being thin. And if you do lose weight, you don't care if you regain it. So that's the other thing that if you start losing weight and you become thinner, the key to keeping this freedom is not attaching any favoritism to it, any type of pride to it, and also not attaching stringency to it. So if you lose weight or become thinner, that there's no stringency in keeping it, that at all times you'd be willing to gain it. You're not going to manage it. You're not going to hoard it, the thinness, and you don't want people to know you for your thinness. Even if they praise you, people who, like your mom, who's unconsciously unaware that she's a thin supremacist, narcissist, right? Even if she says, oh, wow, we're so proud of you, you look so healthy, that you just go, thanks, Mom, and then it'll go in one ear and out the other, because you just realize how unconscious her box is, her tiny little box of love that you fit into now, that you don't have to fit into that box to feel good about yourself.
Yeah. That contract that assigned, that invisible contract that, yeah, it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Right? I think so too. Like, I still, to this day, I'm like, yeah, I'd be cool. I'd gain weight. I mean, honestly, if I have that fresh, I have it fresh in my mind, the misery I was in, enough that I would be willing to kill myself. I mean, how can you ever forget that misery? Really? Do you think you'll ever forget it?
Never.
Me neither. And it's self-inflicted.
I have not binged and made myself sick since that first day I spoke to you. That is a miracle.
I know. I haven't binged either since that moment. For me, it's been 19 years.
Wow.
Yeah. 19 years. So, and it was like, I'm pretty sure I'll never do it again. There's no reason. I don't feel shame about the food I'm eating. I don't use food morality at all. I don't believe in food religion. Ever. I believe my body can handle what we have. And I don't know. It's just like, it's a real, like, huge shift, isn't it? Like, your brain, your body, everything should feel different. You, on the other hand, are the same person. You just don't have the burden anymore. So it's like,
I haven't got that monkey on the shoulder either, that the therapists tell you, oh, it's something you'll always have to deal with. You'll always have problems with it.
That is so demoralizing.
You'll always have to be vigilant. You'll always have to avoid triggers. You'll always have to monitor triggers. No, none of that. It's just comfort, ease and comfort. It's lovely. It's so nice. It's so nice to sit on my sofa and not feel
any angst. And I know what that angst feels like. It feels like withdrawal. It feels like something has to be done or I'm going to explode. I have to do something. Yeah. Like, that's the weirdest thing too. I would get up in the middle of the night to exercise because I had to.
Oh, I can understand.
Oh, it's nutty. And then I'd finish and feel so proud. You know, it's so, it is suffering to the ultimate degree, right? And do you see the narcissism now?
Yes.
Before you couldn't see it.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And to me, that is, it's sad. It's like, that doesn't have to be that way, but you impulsively are trying to prove your superiority and it comes at such a high cost. It's like signing a contract with the devil. You want your superiority? Okay. The devil is like, yes.
Yeah, give me your soul.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be better than everybody. You'll have it, and it's all in your mind. And you think you are.
I feel exhausted just thinking about it.
It is sad. To me, it's like, oh, narcissism, as I recall it, is hell. That is hell.
It's hard. How did I live like that day in, day out?
I mean, it's huge. Huge. Because you have to perform so much higher than every other person around you.
Just to keep your head above water.
Oh, just to get your sense of superiority. And even then, you're suffering from the degree of work you have to do. I mean, it's so intense that and you're not really feeling superior. You're just believing that superiority does exist and you're going to grab it. You're going to get it. And then you get into a social environment and all you're doing is comparing yourself to others and you don't even connect. You're disconnected from everybody, and it's not necessarily you are the narcissist. It's the system that you've internalized. I internalized religion.
Which is why it's really good to call it a syndrome.
And body. Yes. You're being held hostage. Yeah. I'm so glad you see that because I can't wait to write about it because I haven't found anything out there.
I had a quick look and I couldn't find anything.
Right, I know, and you have access to all that stuff with your level of education. I haven't found anything, so I'm trying to write it. I'm trying to get it to where it will make sense, and my goal is that someone who does have the level of education, I just have an undergraduate degree, right, in exercise physiology. So I have enough biology and physiology to be able to read science in terms of the body and the brain. But this is different. This is social science, and this is social psychology, right? Group psychology. And obviously you could say that there's certain personal environments and when you grew up that could make someone more sensitive to this type of syndrome. And the degree that it got for you and for me was pretty intense, right? How often do you think I meet someone that's pretty much where I was? It's not that common. No, that's why you recovered so quick. Do you see that now?
No, can you just explain?
You were that miserable?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, yeah, I'm like, no, I've had clients who are in their 70s who have been binging, they're 400 pounds, they're, all the way to someone like yourself where it's that binge and purge cycle, which is like twice as poisonous in my opinion. Because you have impulses coming from 2 directions and 3 directions rather than just one. Where you're and it's been decades. So a lot of people think it's a time issue. I've been doing it for so long. I'll never recover. And first thing I think is I sometimes have to stop people mid-sentence. That's not true. It has nothing to do with time at all. Look at how long you've been doing this. Based on that perspective, you're gonna have you'll never recover.
Yes, because it would take as long to come out the other end as it did to get into it.
Correct. And don't you agree that would be definitely someone who's in this, who has that brain cognitive disorder and twisting, that's what they would think. Because they think it's time induced, not belief induced.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Oh, I wish I could just have you write it. You want to write this book for me? Because I have to teach myself so much because I don't have a master's degree in this. I don't have any education except for my own experience. My experience working with people, trying to piece my own thoughts together with some science is there anything out there to look at narcissism? Is there anything out there to look at, an inferiority complex? Is there anything where it's like battered wife syndrome? This has got to be a syndrome if you're recovering so quickly. And it's so difficult to explain. And I've had, anyway, so the time constraint thing that is not it. Who you're listening to, right? You dealt with this since you were 12. Correct?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, well, a little bit older. It started, the binging and purging started when I was 16.
Okay, but the dieting, the body image issue started
Body image issue started
Yeah, so we could say it's been 40 years. The body image issue is the issue.
47 years if it's from when I was 10.
How old are you?
57.
So, okay, oh my God. So 47 years. And how quickly did you recover?
Just in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it took these moments. Well, it took me about an hour to step you through it. The consult was 90 minutes, but we got you, it was guided through it during that time. And you have not gone back. We could say there is a residual. We still had some few parts to make sure we confirmed. It's really a confirmation of that recovery.
There was a little bit of anxiety sloshing around there that we needed to just go through some of the things again, just to ease that anxiety. And I haven't had that since at all. And it's not that my life hasn't changed. I still get nervous going to work. I still feel a bit anxious about when I've got a big job to do and have I got enough time to do it. So it's not as if I haven't got those feelings that you eat on. I've still got feelings. It's just that I'm not reacting to them in the same way. I'm not dousing them with food
or running away from them.
Running away,
you just live. They come in and they leave.
Yeah.
Living in that vulnerability. So in terms of the recovery process, oftentimes people ask, you know, when I'm working with someone who's pretty severe, right? Because not every client that comes to me is as severe in terms of the years involved, the dedication involved, the amount of work you've gotten, the amount of, you know, some of my clients have never been to rehab, right? I'm their first realization they have problems, and I'm the first person they're going to. And a lot of people assume the worse someone's symptoms are and the more darkness they have, that must be very, very difficult to help. And I'm always like, no, actually, they're usually they're guidable because you're miserable. Right? You'll do anything and you're like putty. Someone who is not as miserable, but still wants to be thin, but doesn't want to have this binging anymore. They're much harder, right? They're not as malleable. They can eventually be. It might take 20 sessions, 30 sessions to create that malleability. And the other thing is, it's not even me that's creating the malleability. It's their willingness to surrender. So it's like they may come to me thinking we're going to be thinner in the end, and eventually, and that's pretty rigid. Makes sense?
Yeah.
You did not come to me thinking that.
No.
I know. See,
I think I'm going to die.
You came to me with your darkness.
Oh my God.
You said, please help me out. Please get me out of here. I need help. I don't know what to do. I'll do anything you say. And even to the moment that I was like, that's ridiculous. You're lying to me. I'm not going to accept that. It was like, ugh. Even then, your misery is why you didn't fight me.
If you asked me to describe my circumstances, the room I was in and my surroundings that night, I would say I was sitting in the middle of a storm, in a hurricane, and the wind was blowing. The thunder was cracking, and it was all. That's how it felt. It felt like I was in the middle of a storm. I was being whipped up by a storm because I've been binging and purging all that day over and over and over again, and I just couldn't see a way out. And I had 2 weeks of just horrific restriction. Like, I would only allow myself these horrible slimming shakes. And if I ate any solid food at all, even a mouthful, I purged it straight back up again. And I've done that day in and day out. And I'm not young anymore. In my late 50s, my body just was literally nearly turning myself inside out. Nearly throwing up my insides. with the food. It was just.
That's how terrible it feels. So, well, that's how much fear, and it feels like you're going to die when you eat.
Anxiety.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And I don't meet very many people who are there. I've worked with a lot of people.
It was bad.
Yeah. If I were to describe how it was for me, it was like I was in a dark, cold, damp cell, like a space where there was very little light. Like there was a little bit of light, and I would try to, but it was dark, cold, and damp, and it felt like I was just scratching my fingers trying to dig a way out, and it wasn't doing anything. And
oh God,
right, it felt
being buried alive.
It felt like, and I'm walking around reality.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it felt like, I mean, literally, it felt like I was being held hostage in complete, couldn't talk. It's like being
gagged.
And you want out so bad that you're willing to destroy your fingers. You're willing to, the other way I describe it is like I'm being pinned to the earth by a huge boulder that you can't see anything around it. All you see is this boulder. And you can't see, it's so big you can't see anything. You know you're in a park or something, but I can't see the park because all I see is this boulder. And you're going insane looking at it. You're looking at every pebble of it. You're dissecting what's on this. What is it? I need this. There's something about it. But yet you'll do anything to get free. Anything to get free. But you don't. But you're afraid. You're afraid for some reason to let it go. So you have to keep it. Because if I let this boulder go, I'm going to die. Right?
Yeah, keeping you anchored, probably.
I didn't know how to explain it to any of the therapists I went to. It was very difficult for them to understand. And I could tell immediately if they had no idea what they were talking about. You could just tell. It was rough. And the moment they were like, you'll have this forever. You will always battle this.
Yeah.
I just went, oh my God, like that person has no idea what I'm going through.
You'd rather just end it than...
Yeah, they think it's as simple as my desire to be thin will always be there. It's like, it's more than that. I feel like I'm gonna die if I overeat. I literally feel like I'm going to get heaved off of a cliff. Because it doesn't feel like I'm dying. It feels like I'm getting murdered. It's an outside source of death that's looming when you eat something that's bad. And you ruined it, so you're eating it, but then that death comes back. That's the purging. That's why I said bulimia is almost twice as difficult to deal with, too.
Oh, I just identify so much with what you're saying. I really recognize that.
Oh, I know it, too. I will never forget what that was like.
Explain it so well, Robin.
Yeah. You can feel it, can't you? It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I think, too, it's been partially beneficial for me in terms of helping people because I understand binge eating and anorexia and bulimia, right? And exercise addiction. So I think I was truly given, this makes me very emotional. I feel like I was given a gift. And this is not a narcissistic gift. Because I believe you could do it too. But because of that suffering and the degree of pain and isolation and darkness and bitter cold ice. I mean, I can't, it's so hard to describe. I'm trying, I'm giving you, and you're like, yes. But it has given me a connection with the people I work with. So as much as I come across like a raging bitch at some of the narcissism I get, I really care. Yeah. Anyways.
So grateful.
I am so grateful too. I don't know how I recovered. I don't have anybody to, other than God or other than an angel, you know, that helped me. So it is by that miracle that you were healed, not because of me. It's because of whatever happened to me that I'm just sharing with you. So praise whatever it is.
Oh, and Robin, the most wonderful thing is that other people who come to you for help don't have to have that near-death experience you had. You can, they can intervene and take action and make the changes before ever getting that low.
Yeah, if they're humble enough, that's true. Like I said, it may take more time.
Yes.
For them to go through the humbling process, if you want to call it that, or the school of hard knocks, or whatever it is. They have to go through that cycle again and again and again, maybe 3 or 4 times before they're actually willing to look at the discomfort of the direction I'm pointing them, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. To me, that's part of the process. I mean, think about how long you went around in circles before you said, I don't know what to do, Robin. How do I stop going in circles? And I said, go this way. And you said, okay. And it was over. Right?
Oh, dear.
And when you're on the other side, you look back and you go, that was a mirage. It was all fictitious.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh my God.
It was totally it's just made up. But that also is somewhat alarming because your brain couldn't tell the difference.
It could not distinguish at all. It felt like life and death.
Yep. And the body responded as if you're gonna die. And you essentially did. When you look at how you recovered, you went through the doors of death, which was through the doors of gaining fat or being fat permanently.
Oh, God, yeah.
Getting rid of your thinner clothes, accepting, and it's not just being fat, it's the symbolism of it. That was what you went through, is the symbolism. That's what creates the fight or flight, is the symbolic idea that no one will love you, your parents will reject you, you will be seen as inferior. There's the antidote to the narcissism. I'd rather be inferior. I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be physically paralyzed in order to free my mind from paralysis and my soul from paralysis.
Just to get out of the horror.
Yeah, it really is empowering too. And this is why I go through this, is the actual reality of being morbidly obese. We're talking morbidly obese, not kind of overweight. You know why I go that far? Is like, that is easier than what you were doing.
It is. Yeah.
And that, I think, is extremely freeing of the mind, too, when you become aware of that. Like, oh, even if it's hard, it's less difficult. It's not just, it's like it's way on a whole nother level, especially if you can get the freedom of your mind. So you don't have to micromanage your food. You don't have to have shame and guilt. No more food religion. That one in and of itself is huge, right? No more food religion. That is humongous. No more shame, guilt, bad food, good food. I mean, just getting rid of that is such a benefit. It's not even just saying, I'm willing to accept the physical limits of obesity. That's the limit. But holy crap, you gain so, it's like winning the lottery. It's like telling someone, would you chop your hand off if I gave you $30 million? Yes, I would. Here you go. Right? In terms of like the financial ego, money ego, it's really simple. Anyway, so it's like I could handle that. If I can handle the crazy train I was just in, letting my body just be a real body, that's like winning the lottery.
That's how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really how it feels. I feel like I won the lottery.
Me too. I still feel that way. I'm like, oh my God.
19 years, wow.
And you get to connect with people, strangers. You just feel love for people. It's incredible. And your parents, have you gone to see them yet?
No, I had a chest infection.
Yes, you're still, you recovering still or you're good?
It got a lot worse.
Oh my God, seriously?
The doctor gave me antibiotics and an inhaler, and I'm a lot better now. You can hear that my voice is okay now. Yeah. So,
I'm happy to hear that. So, before I stop recording this, I want to, one last thing, if there's anything you can recommend to the clients I'm working with who are still stuck at the martyr victim, I'm going to be fat, I can't do it. Is there anything you could recommend?
An openness, have an open mind, try and suspend judgment and just open your mind. And you need some courage as well. It takes courage. So an open mind and muster up courage and just see where it takes you. And I think you have to, I don't know about anybody else, but I had to really immerse myself in the experience.
Mm-hmm. Make it real.
Make it
real and permanent. Now, you heard me say that before, but when I say that now, you're like, oh, that is exactly, you have to make it permanent in your mind, which can be scary. Because it feels...
I was so scared and I was so desperate that that's what helped me make it real in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And
permanent. And then you have to think about it. And all of a sudden, it's almost like the moment you're willing to make it permanent, it's like this veil comes off. Right? So like all of a sudden that dark, dreary place just went away. And I was sitting in the reality of this park, right? The ocean. It's just like, holy crap, what just happened? I'm in reality now. And it's amazing. It's bliss. It's easy.
I wasn't in reality before. But no, now.
It's like, oh, that was an illusion.
That was an illusion. I've been in a dream.
But it took that will, just the willingness for it to be permanent.
Yeah. The willingness for me came out of desperation.
Oh, 12 steps. Here we go. And I love the 12 steps without the disease model. I love it.
Yeah.